This story kicks off like a century ago. The Demon King and his squad rolled up to the heavens, ready to cause some serious chaos. But the gods had this legendary guardian who single-handedly took on the entire demon army and wiped the floor with them. The twist? One of the turned out to be a traitor. The guardian got betrayed, taken down, and when he died, his soul shattered into 72 pieces that scattered across the human world. With the guardian gone, the demon army overtook the heavens. Tried to fight back but got absolutely wrecked. As a last-ditch effort, they used up all their power to seal the demons away. But with no gods left to keep order, the world spiraled into chaos. The only way to fix it all? Gather the 72 pieces of the guardian's soul and use his power to free the gods. Fast forward to today, and things are still a mess. We meet two brothers, Yun and Shen, chilling in some house. Out of nowhere, the ground starts shaking, and the house is about to collapse. Yun shoves Shen into a basket, and they barely escape. Meanwhile, their dad, Gong, is in the middle of a brutal fight with a massive demon. It's not looking good. He's getting slammed around and ends up smashed into a pillar. The brothers show up, wanting to help, but the demon charges at them. Gong jumps in, blocks the attack, and stuns the demon just long enough to toss the boys onto a pillar to keep them safe. Then Gong gets serious. He transforms his weapon into this slick 3-section staff, wrapping it around the demon's hand. He knees the demon in the face and starts choking it with the staff. But this demon's no pushover. It breaks free and sends Gong flying. Gong's not giving up though. While he's still in midair, he kicks the sections of his staff around the demon, activates some kind of skill, and traps it. But the fight's far from over. Gong messes with the nearby pillars, shaping them into a giant hand to grab the demon, but he knows it won't hold for long. So, he and the boys make a run for it. They end up in a cave and find a spot covered in vines. Gong uses a skill to open the heavenly gates of the palace, making the vines pull back and revealing 2 swords sitting on pedestals. They grab the swords at the same time, and the pedestals disappear as a golden container pops up. Gong hands it to Yun and tells him to give it to Shen when he's older. Then he gives Yun the other sword, explaining that these swords have been passed down by demon hunters. Yun doesn't think he's ready to use them, but Gong reminds him he's been training since he was a kid, and says he believes in him. Suddenly, the ground starts shaking. They figure out the demon must have broken free. They make it to a stone bridge in a lava-filled room, and Gong explains it's a spirit room used by old demon hunters. Out of nowhere, the demon smashes through the ceiling. Gong gets caught, but uses a skill to make parts of the walls crash into the demon, breaking himself free. Then, he traps the demon in a spherical prison and drops it into the lava, filling the place with smoke. It looks like they finally won, but then a bell rings. Out of nowhere, a mysterious woman stabs Gong from behind. The boys start crying, but as his final move, Gong activates one last skill to send them away. The lady tries to go after them, busting through the barrier and scratching Yun's face, but the boys suddenly disappear. Boom! They're zapped 10 years into the future. Now, Yun's all grown up, and Shen's rocking a giant lizard monster costume. Then, we see this dude heading into a building with a demon hunter. The demon hunter gets all serious, saying he can sense a 1,000-year-old gecko demon nearby. He tells the guy to hang back, but the dude freaks out and bolts. The demon hunter pulls out his weapon, charges up his beads, and flings them across the room, smacking the gecko demon. Then he goes in for the kill and slices the demon's head clean off, but the guy loses it and starts yelling at the gecko, asking why it ruined everything. Out of nowhere, Yun shows up, knocks the dude out, and when he comes to, he's tied to a pillar. He demands to know who Yun and Shen are. Yun gets in his face and threatens him, and the guy spills the beans. He's not really a demon hunter. Turns out, he and the demon were running a scam, haunting buildings and pretending to exorcise them to rip people off. They'd split the cash after. Shen's like, how do people even fall for this junk? The guy shrugs and says it's all thanks to his good looks. Folks trust him because he's handsome. Then he throws shade at Yun, saying his face is more bandit than demon hunter, which totally ticks Yun off. So they leave the guy tied up in the gecko costume and bounce. Later, Shen has his coming-of-age ceremony since he just turned 14. Yun handles the ritual, and Shen gets surrounded by this glowing light and a bunch of talismans. When the light fades, Yun tells Shen he's officially a demon hunter now. Shen's a little unsure if he's ready, but Yun tells him to believe in himself. Then he hands Shen a gold container their dad left for him. Shen opens it and finds this small iron rod. He's like, what the heck is this for? But Yun remembers their dad saying it was Shen's destiny. Shen decides to keep it as a necklace since it's a gift from their dad. Right then, this old man runs up, begging them to save his town. He says there's a creepy mist making people disappear and offers them money to help. Yun's skeptical, thinking it might just be another scam, and he's more focused on wrapping up Shen's celebration. But then the old guy drops his bag and outrolls this golden bell. Yun freezes. It reminds him of the woman who killed their dad. So, they decide to check out the town after all. When they arrive, the whole place is covered in this thick mist. As they're looking around, Shen suddenly vanishes. Yun spots a cat demon and starts grilling it about the bell, but instead of answering, the demon attacks him. The cat demon uses the mist to play hide and seek, landing a hit on Yoon from behind. But Yoon spins around, whipping up a whirlwind that clears the mist and slams the demon to the ground. The demon freaks out and begs for mercy, saying she'll do whatever Yoon wants if he spares her. Yoon demands answers about the bell, but the demon claims she just found it and has no clue where it came from. So Yoon's like, just skip town already. She thanks him for cutting her some slack, but out of nowhere, she charges at him. Yoon's ready though, and pulls off his backslash move, taking her down without breaking a sweat. As she's fading out, she warns Yoon that her brother's coming for revenge, and plans to take out Shen. Meanwhile, Shen gets ambushed by another cat demon who starts trash-talking him, calling him a kid. Shen claps back, saying he's not a kid anymore, and gets ready to throw hands. Yoon's watching from a distance, calling this Shen's final test. The cat demon makes the first move, but Shen dodges like a total pro and closes the gap. The demon grabs Shen's staff, but Shen overpowers him, and even lands a solid hit. This just makes the demon mad, so he cranks up the speed and lands a hit on Shen before he can react. The demon breaks Shen's weapon, and Yoon's thinking about stepping in, but then Shen's necklace starts glowing. Shen grabs it, and it transforms into a weapon. He throws it at the demon, blasting him with a massive energy wave that shakes the whole area. The energy even reaches the demon woman, and she realizes Shen's finally awakened. The weapon pierces the demon's chest, but he's still alive. He's shocked to see the golden staff stuck in him, and notices Shen has passed out. He tries to yank the staff out, but Yoon steps in, asking about the bell and threatening to end him. The bell rings, hypnotizing the demon, and he spills the beans that a woman named Samir gave it to them, knowing the brothers would show up if it rang. Yoon asks about Samir, but the demon's like, none of your business. Then, out of nowhere, the bell starts spinning like crazy and flies straight into the demon's mouth, making him explode. The blast gets noticed by two people who seem way more advanced, and they head to their teleporter to check it out. Shen wakes up, and Yoon tells him he did a good job. Shen grabs the golden staff, but it shrinks back into its tiny form. Then, these two high-tech looking people show up and tell them the staff isn't theirs. They scan it and confirm it's what they've been looking for, calling it the Shenzhen staff. The duo walks up to Shen and Yoon, but Yoon's too banged up to fight after the explosion. Shen tries to talk it out, but the girl demands they hand over the staff. Yoon steps in to stop them, but gets taken down like it's nothing. The girl threatens to kill them if they don't hand it over, but they refuse and even call her a pighead because of her mask. She gets mad, but her partner calms her down, saying they don't mean any harm. The guy pulls out some high-tech gadget and heals Yoon's injuries, and Yoon's totally blown away when he realizes even his internal wounds are gone. Yoon asks why they want the staff, and the girl says it's always been theirs. Turns out, the staff was once used by the Guardian, the strongest warrior among the gods. The two introduce themselves as Sorrow and Shu, envoys of the fairy clan. She pulls off her mask, and the brothers realize she's kinda cute. Sorrow explains that the staff went missing after the Guardian got taken out 100 years ago. He says their mission is to track down 72 pieces of the Guardian's soul to break the seal on the god's prison. The staff is key since it can sense traces of the gods. Yoon thinks it might also help them find the demon that killed their dad, so he's not ready to give it up just yet. He asks how they know it's the real Shenzhen staff, and Sorrow says it sent out energy waves across the 6 realms when it woke up. Sorrow warns them that demons probably felt it too. He goes on to explain that the Demon King Mora and his crew were sealed up with the gods, so the demons are probably plotting to free him as well. Yoon's suspicious, but Shu says if they don't free the gods, the world's gonna stay a mess, and if the demons break the seal first, it's game over. Shen decides to trust them and hands over the staff. Yin backs him up, thinking it'll keep Shen safe. As they're leaving, Shu suspects they gave her a fake staff since it turned to ice, but when Shen takes it back, it changes again. The staff turns gold, and Shu's totally lost on what's going on. Sorrow explains that only someone with a pure heart can activate it, and the staff chose Shen as its new master. They realize they've got no choice but to bring Shen along. The brothers figure it's fate and go with it. They grab their reward from the old man and check out the staff, which points them to the next soul fragment. Turns out Soros Salon is a ship, so they all hop on and start their journey. While cruising through the desert, they spot a woman named Ying passed out on the ground. The ship detects her and swerves hard to avoid hitting her, throwing everyone off balance. Ying wakes up all confused and asks what's happening. The ship says it sensed her presence. Yoon sees her lying there and rushes out to help. She collapses in his arms, and he notices she's hurt. He carries her back to the ship, but Shu stops him, saying it's risky to let a stranger on board. Shu thinks the whole thing's shady, while Yin accuses Shu of being jealous because Ying's pretty. They argue, but in the end, Ying gets on the ship. Sorrow asks Ying what happened, and she says she ran into some bandits who tried to kill her, but she managed to escape. She begs them to take her to the Dark Canyon because she's scared the bandits will find her again. Yoon tells her they're also heading to the Dark Canyon to find fragments, so it must be fate they crossed paths. Yin's super curious about the fragments, so Shen shows her the staff, saying it's locked onto a fragment in Dark Canyon. Shu freaks out, saying they're spilling too much to her, and tells Shen to put the staff away. Saro suggests they head to Dark Canyon the next day, then leaves the room with Shu. Later that night, while the brothers are knocked out, Yin uses her ring to spin a web and tries to snag the staff from Shen, but Shen moves his hand just in time, stopping her. Suddenly, the door swings open, and Yin quickly jumps back into bed. Saro walks in after a shower, realizes he's in the wrong room, and awkwardly leaves. The next morning, Yin's on the hunt for Ying, but Soro says it looks like she already bailed. Shen notices the staff is gone, which makes Shu totally freak out, but Soro stays cool as a cucumber. Then we get a flashback. Ying's stuck in a cave with a bunch of bandits, and her sister Mei's been taken hostage. The bandit boss clocks Ying as the world's top thief, and orders her to swipe the Shenzhen staff. Ying's heard of it, but thinks it's just some old myth since no one's found it in like 100 years. The boss says it's legit, claiming no one found it before because it was asleep, but now it's awake. He shows her a piece of the Guardian and says it's got enough juice to blow up the whole valley. He fires it up, making the ground shake and rocks fly everywhere. He brags that if he gets the staff, he'll be able to control demons since it's the ultimate divine weapon. Then he warns Ying not to mess with him. He promises to let them go if she brings him the staff, but Mei reminds Ying of her vow to never steal again, knowing there'll be hell to pay if she breaks it. Mei begs her not to do it, but one of the bandits butts in, saying Mei's gonna pay the price if Ying doesn't cooperate. Ying fires back, threatening them not to hurt her sister, and the boss promises Mei will be fine if Ying delivers. Back in the present, Ying's on her way to save her sister, giving the brothers a hard time for saving the girl, but losing the staff. Soro drives them to a spot where he's sure they'll find Ying. He says they're heading to the spiderweb cave and points out the entrance, warning them the place is a total maze and super easy to get lost in. He pulls out a gadget that tracks the staff's signal, and Yin's fired up to get it back. Inside the cave, Ying hands over the staff to the bandit boss to save her sister. He lets Mei go, and Mei blames herself for the whole mess since she wandered into the valley alone, but Ying's just glad she's safe, and they try to leave. Suddenly, the bandits block their way, and the boss says they're not going anywhere because he's got some fun planned for them. Yin calls in Shameless, who shoots a web from her ring, tangling up the boss's legs, knocking him down, and snagging the staff. Another bandit charges at her, so she tries to use the staff to scare him, but it doesn't do squat. Instead, she blinds him with her ring. They make a break for it, but two bandits are hot on their heels. Mei trips and tells Ying to leave her behind as the bandits close in, but Ying's not having it. She summons a giant web to trap them, but the boss slices right through it and keeps coming. He smashes the ground, splitting the sisters apart. Mei tries to kick the skinny bandit, but he grabs her leg like it's nothing, while Ying dodges the boss's attack. One bandit sneaks up to stab her, but she webs his hand to the wall. The boss takes another swing, but Ying jumps out of the way and tries to hit him with her web. He counters by pulling a chunk of rock from the ground and slamming it into her, knocking her down. Mei rushes over to check on her, but Ying tells her to just run. Meanwhile, the other bandit breaks free and traps them in some kind of barrier. Sato's like, finding the staff in this cave is gonna be a pain, so Yin's all, let's split up, and drags Shen along. They're sprinting through the cave, but Shen's convinced they're headed the wrong way. Yin's like, chill, I'm following Ying's scent. Eventually, they spot the sisters stuck behind some magical barrier. Mei's pleading with the boss like, don't hurt Ying, I'll do whatever you want. The boss is all smug, promising Ying will be fine as long as she behaves. The bandit drops the barrier, and the boss starts strutting toward them. Out of nowhere, Ying flips the script, attacking the boss with her ring and scratching his face. Dude gets mad as hell and summons these sharp rock spikes, aiming right at her, but Mei jumps in the way like a total hero, protecting her sister. She's glad she could save Ying, but then she passes out. Yoon's furious and charges the boss with his swords, but the boss blocks him like it's no big deal. Shen tries to sneak attack the other bandit with a rock, but the bandit dodges and kicks him aside. Suddenly, boom! There's this huge explosion that blows part of the cave wide open. Shu and Saro roll up, ready to throw down. Shu fires her cannon at Ying, but Ying blocks it and deflects the blast into the ceiling. The brothers are yelling at Shu like, yo, aim at the bandits, not her. That's when they notice the bandits are surrounded by some kind of magical barrier. Turns out, they've absorbed the power of the soul fragment into their bodies. Shu's all fired up to take them out, but Yin steps in and tells the sisters to bounce. The boss claps his hands and his crew shows up, charging in to fight. Sato's like, not today, and whips up a tornado, blowing the goons away. The bandit leader tries to go after Shen, but Yin blocks him and shouts at Shen to get the sisters out of there. Shu's cannon suddenly sprouts claws, and she uses it to shove the boss back. Sato summons a thundercloud, and when the scrawny bandit tries to throw up another barrier, Shu decks him. Sato calls down a lightning bolt and fries the boss. Meanwhile, the brothers help the sisters escape. Yin apologizes for lying to them, but Shen's like, it's cool, you did it to protect your sister. The boss gets back up, swinging like a maniac, but Saro jumps back and blasts him with a fire spell. The boss counters with a rock shield that bounces the flames back at Saro. Shu dives in to save him, and she and the boss clash hard, knocking each other back. Then the boss starts flexing the soul fragment's power. It's just a piece of the full thing, but it's still super dangerous. The boss starts chucking rocks like crazy. Saro throws up a water shield, but it's not strong enough, so they dodge. Shu fires her cannon again, but the boss blows it up midair with a rock. The blast splits into smaller explosions, so he shields himself with a rock shell, thinking he's untouchable. But here's the kicker. He doesn't realize he's standing in water. Saro zaps the water with lightning, frying the guy, while Shu blasts him again with her cannon, finally taking him down. They grab the soul fragment from his body and book it out of the cave just before it collapses. The brothers are chilling with these two girls when this skinny bandit dude suddenly rushes at them. Shin steps up and tackles him, but the bandit bounces back like it's nothing, ready to throw down with Shin. Before he can, Yin jumps in, but the bandit dodges Yin's move and counters with a kick, knocking him back. Then, out of nowhere, these creepy tentacles shoot out from behind the bandit and start attacking Yin. They're trading blows, and the bandit jumps up, launching his tentacles at Yin, who barely dodges in time. Yin's struggling to keep up, so Shen grabs the bandit to hold him down while Yin charges at him, but the bandit traps Yin in some kind of barrier and kicks Shen away. Yin's stuck, slashing at the barrier, while the bandit uses some petrification magic on him, slowly turning him to stone. Shen's losing it, pounding on the barrier so hard his fists start bleeding, but it's no use. The bandit shoves him aside, and Shen starts crying, thinking he's completely useless. Then, out of nowhere, Shen's staff starts glowing. He grabs it, and it transforms into its true form. Shen uses it to smash the barrier and reverse the petrification spell on Yin. The bandit tries to fight back, kicking Shen and grabbing the golden staff, but it instantly turns into a small iron stick. He tries to change it back, but instead, his arm gets sliced off because Yin's petrification is fully undone now. Yin and the bandit go at it again, throwing punches and kicks. The bandit notices Yin's getting faster, which reminds him of some legendary warrior. Yin lands a solid hit, knocking the bandit to his knees, but the bandit smirks, knowing demon hunters can't kill humans. Yin fires back, saying the bandit doesn't even deserve to be called human. The bandit just laughs and says Yin reminds him of the twin blade hunter, guessing Yin must be his descendant. So, like over a dozen years ago, this guy says his master told him to track down the twin blade hunter. They ended up fighting, and now he's curious about the hunter. But then, out of nowhere, the bandit hears a bell ring, drops dead, and this soul fragment thing floats out of his body. Back on their ship, Saro tries to use his magic to heal Mei, but her injuries are way too bad. Ying's panicking, thinking Mei's gonna die, but Saro's like, what if we seal her soul in something so she can come back later when the gods are free? Ying's all in, so Saro seals Mei's soul into her ring. Ying feels like her sister's still kinda with her. Meanwhile, Shen's stuck in his head, wondering why he was chosen for this mission. He's feeling like a total failure because he couldn't save anyone. But Y reminds him, dude, you saved me from that bandit. You've got potential. Y also says they can still save M if they gather all the fragments and free the gods, so he tells Shen not to give up. They head back to the ship, and the fragments get absorbed into the staff. Ying asks to join their crew to help her sister, and Yun's pumped to have her on board. They keep pushing forward on their mission to save the world. They roll up to this gritty industrial city, but Shen's looking rough. The heat's really messing with him. Someone asks Saro if he can do something to help, but Saro's like, chill. It's no big deal. This happens when the staff soaks up fragments. He'll be good once we grab some meds from the sage's shop. They head into this funky store that's packed with women's clothes. The shopkeeper spots Shu and goes, whoa, no way, it's you. He explains that since the celestial realm got sealed off, immortals stopped showing up, so he had to start selling random stuff to make ends meet. Then he flips a hidden switch, and bam, the shop transforms into one for immortals. Shu's not wasting time. She demands a Seinu bean, and the guy scrambles to get it. She snatches it and shoves it down Shen's throat without a second thought. Yoon's like, what did you just give my brother? The shopkeeper explains that the Seinu bean helps with the pain from too much magic power, and even has some healing perks. Yoon's impressed and wants to buy a whole bag, but the shopkeeper drops the price tag, 2 billion won. Yoon's broke, but Saro's like, don't sweat it, I got this, and casually mentions he's got trillions in his account. Then Shu starts wondering why it's so hot in the city. The shopkeeper explains that a meteorite crashed here 100 years ago, and ever since, the place has been like a giant furnace. The city even uses it for industrial work now. Saro figures it'll cool down eventually, but the shopkeeper says the whole city depends on it. He also brings up Fi-Sin, the real boss of the city. Shu asks why no one's taken him down, but the shopkeeper says Fi-Sin's a high-level demon, even dangerous to fairies. Saro tells Shen to spin the staff around, so he gives it a shot. Turns out, The meteorite is reacting to the staff. Sero figures out there's a fragment of the meteorite tied to it, but then Shen's necklace snaps and falls. As Shu and Sero are about to head out, Yun offers to tag along. Shu warns him it's going to be way more intense than anything he's used to, but Yun's all in. He leaves Shen with Ying and joins the crew. They roll up to their next spot, and Sero pulls out a map showing Faison's chilling on the top floor of this building. While Shu and Sero are plotting their next move, Yun just busts into the building, yelling for Faison. Alarms go off, and now everyone knows they're there. Back at the shop, things are left hanging. Meanwhile, Shen gets this wild vision of the Guardian standing tall, taking out demons left and right with his staff like it's nothing. But then the Demon King, Mara, blasts him in the chest with some crazy energy, shattering his soul into pieces that scatter across the human world. Shen realizes they've already snagged 2 of those soul fragments from the bandits they fought earlier. The bandit spirits start trash-talking him, calling him weak, but then they try to tempt him with a deal. If he taps into the Guardian's power, he'll be unstoppable. They want him to sacrifice his soul for it, but Shen's not about that life and shuts them down. Suddenly, the staff starts glowing like crazy and transforms into this massive staff rising from the ground. The Guardian's voice tells Shen that their soul and spirit will merge. Shen wakes up, but he freaks out when he sees Ying super close to him and accidentally drops the staff. Ying picks it up and later shows it to the shopkeeper. When she comes back, she's fixed Shen's necklace, swapping in some silver thread. The crew's out here battling enemies and finally makes it to this hall full of portraits of some lady. That's when Faison shows up. Yun charges at him, but Faison cranks up his flame powers, forcing Yun to back off. Faison's all pumped to see Shu and Saro, calling them worthy opponents. He's ready to throw hands and drops a bombshell. The soul fragment they're hunting is inside him. He dares them to come and get it. Yun rushes him again, but Faison throws up a fire barrier and counters with a fiery attack, summoning this massive pillar of flames. Yun doesn't flinch. His swords just soak up the fire like it's no big deal. Faison sees this and turns up heat, blasting Yun with flames and sending him flying. Saro catches him mid-fall and warns Faison that his fire could react with the meteorite and cause a citywide catastrophe. Faison's like, I'll fix it with mortal blood, and Saro realizes he's about to pull some shady, forbidden move. She asks where he's planning to send the meteorite, and Faison casually admits he's aiming to wreck the Immortal Palace. Shu's not having it. She pulls out her cannon and fires at him. Faison blocks it with a fire shield and counters with a fire whip, wrapping it around her cannon and overheating it. Saru tries to cool it down with water, but it's no use, so Shu has to ditch the weapon. Faison chucks a fireball at Shu, but Y jumps in to shield her and tells her to head back to the shopkeeper. Shu and Saro retreat as lava starts gushing out of the industrial furnace, throwing everything into chaos. Faison rains fire down on Yun, but Yun throws his sword at him and teleports behind him to land a hit. Plot twist, it's just an illusion. Faison grabs Yun's leg with his fire whip and slams him into the ground. Right when Faison's about to finish him off, Saro shows up and throws up an ice wall, giving them a chance to escape. Faison spots blood on the ground and uses it to kick off some kind of ritual. He launches the meteorite into the sky, and it's clear the thing's structure has changed over the years. Saro guesses it'll shatter before hitting the Immortal Palace, but the pieces will rain down on the city. Sure enough, meteors start falling, and everyone's scrambling for safety. The trio heads back to the shop to figure out their next move. Meanwhile, Ying and Shen are running for cover when Shen spots a girl crying. Shen rushes over to help her and tells her to come with him, but a nearby building starts collapsing. They're about to get crushed, but Ying saves them with her web, and they all make it to the shelter. Shen's freaking out about his brother, but the shopkeeper calms him down, saying his brother already took a senzu bean and just needs time to recover. The shelter starts falling apart, and everyone's panicking. The shopkeeper mentions the industrial furnace core, saying it could help control the heat, but he doesn't know where it is. Saro figures the core might be the key to stopping all this chaos, but the shopkeeper warns it's locked down tight. The group thinks Ying could steal it, but she hesitates, remembering her promise to never steal again. The shopkeeper argues that since the core is technically a weapon of the immortals, taking it back isn't really stealing. Ying sneaks into the building, takes out the guards keeping an eye on things, and uses the security cameras to track down the secretary. She jumps the secretary, trying to get some answers, but the secretary fights back, wrapping her tie around Ying's arm and going on the offensive. Ying shoots out her web to pin her down and keeps grilling her for info about the core. Meanwhile, the shelter's falling apart even more. Faison's out there chucking fireballs, yelling at the fairies to show themselves. Shu pulls out her cannon, figuring they just need to hold the line until Ying gets back, and Saro's all in on the plan. Back in the building, Ying's interrogation pays off, and she heads for the core, but she accidentally trips an alarm. A huge robot shows up, blocking her path. The destruction spreads across the city as Faison strolls through the chaos, leaving a trail of fire behind him. Flashback time. There's this red-haired girl trying to stop a thief, but the guy pulls a knife on her. Then this dude shows up, takes the thief down, and checks on her. They hit it off, start dating, and eventually tie the knot. But one day, a war breaks out in the higher realms, and fire rains down on the city. He sees this massive meteor falling from the sky, and it crashes right into the building where his wife is. Back in the present, Shu and Saro confront Fisen, and things get heated. He blames the immortals for everything that went down. He throws a fire blast, and Saro tries to block it with an ice barrier, but it shatters. Out of nowhere, this golden staff drops in front of them, shielding them, and Shen jumps into the fight. Shen begs Fisen to stop, saying everyone's already been through enough and the city's gonna end up in ruins, just like it did 100 years ago. Fisen starts crying as he remembers finding his wife's body buried under the rubble. That's when he found the soul fragment, which gave him his powers. Fisen spills the beans about wanting revenge on the immortals for what happened 100 years ago. Saro explains that during the war, the Demon King tried to destroy the Immortal Palace with a meteor, but the Immortals created a protective field to change its path, which made it crash into the lower realm instead. Fisen accuses the Immortals of not giving a damn about human lives and hurls a fireball at Shu, but Shen blocks it with his barrier. Shen tells Fisen that if he destroys the city, he's no better than the Immortals. He says the past can't be undone, but that just makes Fisen snap. He transforms into this wolf-like monster and punches Shen, sending him flying. So Yin takes down the robot and makes her way to the core. She tries snatching it with her web, but the thing freezes up and won't work. Fisen's about to spit fire, but then he picks up on some weird energy and realizes they're after the core. Dude gets mad and hurls a fireball, causing this massive explosion, then bolts straight for the core. Shen throws up a shield to keep everyone safe, and the group starts brainstorming how to stop Fisen, but Shu's too banged up to chase him, so Shen steps up like, "I'll handle it." Saro tells Shen to save Ying and zaps him out of there with a teleport spell. Meanwhile, the wall around the core crumbles, and Ying hides as some sketchy guy rolls in. The dude grabs the core, but it starts freezing his hand. Luckily, his armor's got him covered. Right then, Fisen shows up like, "Drop it!" They start scrapping, wrestling like crazy, neither one giving an inch. The guy says the core's a gift for his sister, then morphs into this massive beast and totally overpowers Fisen. He claws Fisen in the chest, taking him down, and a soul fragment pops out of Fisen's body. The guy snatches the fragment, locks it in a box with the core, and notices a meteor heading for the city. He's curious about its strength, but Shen comes out of nowhere and smacks the box out of his hand with his staff. The guy grabs Shen's staff but realizes it's draining his life force, so he drops it and rushes Shen with an axe. Just in time, Ying swoops in and saves Shen. The staff keeps sucking the guy's energy, so he straight up cuts off his own arm and teleports out of there with some magic stone. Now the meteor's about to obliterate the city, but Fisen tells Shen he can stop it by breaking the core. Shen uses his staff to smash the core, which covers the whole city in ice. The meteor freezes up and shatters into pieces. Fisen's crushed, thinking he let his wife down, but then her soul shows up and tells him he saved the city. She hugs him as he fades away. The group regroups and heads off toward a river that's supposed to heal H's wounds. They roll into this creepy, abandoned desert town, and out of nowhere, their power cuts out. Saro heads off to figure out what's up, but the brothers are starting to think she's acting kinda sus. She lets it slip that the town used to be a big trading hub, and that her army was stationed in the mines nearby, but then she clams up, not wanting to spill more tea about someone. Yoon figures they should back her up, so the brothers go after Saro. She's like, "Nah, I got this," and explains the ship's power crystal is toast. She says they need to find a new one in the nearby mine, but warns them it's a hot mess down there and insists on going alone. Yoon offers to tag along, but Saro shuts him down, saying he should stay out of her way. Turns out, back in the day, Saro was sent on a mission to check out those mines with her team. On their way in, her teammates were joking around, and one of them was carrying this helmet, the same one she just dug up from the sand. Fast forward to now, Shin's getting nervous cause Saro's been gone too long, so he asks Shu to track her down. Yoon cracks a joke about how Saro would probably just bail if things got dicey, but Shu snaps back, saying Yoon doesn't know what Saro's been through. Saro's heading toward the mine, totally lost in her thoughts. In a flashback, her team's going into the mines, looking for some human miners who've gone missing. It's pitch black, so one of them lights the place up, and they spot miner helmets scattered everywhere. Then, they come across this massive hole leading to an underground mine. Saro checks the map, and notices some vinyl signs pointing further down. They figure the miners must have gone deeper, so they follow. The team gets a bad vibe, saying they're not prepped for a fight, but Sar reminds them of their mission and tells them to gear up. They jump into the hole and start blasting zombies as they appear. Saro starts thinking these zombies might actually be the missing miners, but there are way too many of them. They try to escape, but the zombies block their way. One teammate chucks some grenades and yells for everyone to take cover. The explosion wipes out the zombies, but one of the team gets hurt. As they move on, they notice blood on the ground forming some creepy symbol. They find a safe spot and set up some cables to send a message to HQ for backup. Right after they send it, a wall collapses behind one of the teammates, and he gets fatally injured. A monster shows up. It's the corpse-reaping beast. Flash forward to the present, and you know about this thing. It's a super strong monster that eats dead bodies and is even dangerous to the immortals. Shu jumps in, saying the beast is supposed to stay in the dark demon realm and shouldn't even be in the mines. Shu tracks Sorrow's location, and now we see him collecting crystals. Then it hits him. He's standing on a sigil, which he recognizes as something used to open a passage to the demon realm. Turns out, the formation is powered by the blood of an immortal, which explains how the beast ended up in the mines. Sorrow realizes his team was sacrificed to activate it. The beast shows up, and Sorrow gets ready to fight, replaying in his head how the monster wiped out his team. He tried to save his friend back then, but his friend told him to finish the mission, knowing he couldn't be saved. Sorrow fought back, trying to crush the monster with a stone pillar, but it didn't work. Sorrow collapsed, but his friend stepped up, sacrificing himself to trap the beast. Sorrow had a vision of his teammates and broke down, apologizing for failing to protect them, but they told him not to give up, saying it wasn't his time to join them. They pushed him to uncover the truth behind the formation. Sorrow snaps back to the present when Shen calls out to him and sees the others fighting this massive monster. Shu fires her cannon at it, but it doesn't even scratch the thing. Sorrow tells Shen to protect everyone with his barrier while he traps the monster in some kind of formation. Shen starts thinking Sorrow's about to sacrifice himself, but Sorrow says he's done losing his friends. The others keep attacking the monster, but it just tosses them around like rag dolls. Sorrow steps up, ready to give his life, but Shen stops him. Instead, Shen uses his staff to blow a hole in the ceiling. Sunlight pours in, hitting the monster, and it crumbles in no time. Everyone makes it out alive. Sorrow takes a moment to pay his respects to his fallen friends and vows to uncover the truth about the sigil. He decides to stick with the crew as they keep hunting for the soul fragments. Eventually, they roll up to the healing river, and Sorrow explains that people usually come here to pray for their wishes to come true. Ying's curious why the place is so dead, and Shu explains it's because of what went down in the mine. Apparently, the fairies ditched the area, thinking demons were lurking, and now the place has a bad rep. Folks are too freaked out to come here, thinking they might not make it to the river alive. Shen and Yin hop into the river, and Shen notices Yin's wounds are starting to heal. While they're chilling, they spot this mysterious dude, Mugan, staring at the sky. Yin tries to chat him up, but Mugan straight up ignores him. Yin gets closer, and Shen hands him his gear, asking what's up with the guy. Yun thinks Mugan isn't just some random dude, and Shen's got a weird vibe about him, so he suggests they bounce. Yun's cool with it, but Mugan notices their swords and stops them. Mugan starts reminiscing about this insane duel he had with the top demon hunter, Chen, who also rocked twin swords. At first, Chen fights with just one sword, but he starts losing ground and decides to get serious, pulling out his second blade. Their swords clash, and it's a total stalemate. Then Mugan unleashes his ultimate move, smashing the ground around him. Meanwhile, Chen spins his swords together, turning them into a double-bladed staff. They go all out, charging at each other, but Chen ends up winning, leaving Mugan with a scar on his face. Later, Mugan spills the story to Yin, but Yin's not buying it. He says the swords were passed down to him by his dad, so Mugan's tale doesn't add up. But Mugan's convinced those swords belong to Chen, and says Yin doesn't deserve to wield them because he's not the strongest demon hunter. Yun jumps in, saying he's gonna become the strongest and needs to take down Mugan to prove it. They're about to throw hands, but Shen steps in, telling Mugan they don't know the full story about Chen. Right then, Shu shows up, and Shen fills her in on the drama. Shu tells Mugan to chill, but he swings his sword, purposely missing her. The swing smashes a massive rock in the distance, leaving everyone speechless. Mugan still wants to fight Yun, but then Yin recognizes Mugan as the strongest swordsman of the demon clan because of the sword he's carrying. Ying tells Mugan that Yun's not in great shape, saying they came here to help him heal since he's injured. She suggests waiting until he's better before they fight. Mugan gives Yun half a day to recover, but spreads his energy all over the area, warning them they'll all die if they try to bail. They head back to the ship, where Ying spills the tea that Mugan stole the sacred sword from the demon clan. This ticked off the old demon king, who tried to hunt Mugen down, but Mugen ended up killing him. Shu thinks they don't stand a chance against Mugan, but Yin reminds them that Mugen lost to Chen, saying the swords might be the key to beating him. He explains that the swords are passed down to the chosen demon hunter and have a hidden power only the chosen one can unlock. He thinks he might be able to tap into the sword's power, but Shu says it's way too risky and suggests they cut their losses and bail. Sorrow says running isn't gonna cut it since Mugen's energy is everywhere, and he'd catch on if they tried to bail. Yun steps up, saying he's not backing down and won't risk their lives like that. He tells them they'll probably face even tougher enemies down the road. He remembers surviving because of his dad's courage, saying his dad never ran from demons. Yun promises to protect Shen, but Shen's like, I don't need protecting. Later, Ying is chilling in the river, and Yun joins her, knowing he's always had a soft spot for her. She notices the scars on his body, seeing them as proof he's been looking out for Shen. She tells Yun that Shen's scared of losing him, and admits she's still not over losing her sister. She doesn't want Shen to feel the same pain she's dealing with, so she tells Yun not to die. The next day, Y is back to full strength, and Sorrow uses his magic to give him a speed boost. He's also rocking some spider silk armor Ying made, and it's tough as nails. Yin warns Shen that his opponent is stronger, and that he might not make it, But Shen's like, I can't back down. Demon hunters need guts to take down evil. Yun says they've got to risk it all, even if the enemy's stronger, and believes they can beat anyone if they turn fear into courage. In a flashback, we see a young Y staring at the twin swords. He's about to grab them, but Gong stops him, telling him not to mess around. Gong explains that only the chosen demon slayer can use the swords, and even he's not worthy. Yun wants to be the chosen one, but Gong calls him cocky and says he's got a long way to go. Back in the present, Yun tries to take on Mugan but gets knocked back. Mugan counters and slashes his chest, but the armor saves him. When Mugan thrusts at him again, the armor doesn't hold up, and Yun gets hurt. Sorrow points out that Mugen's sword is longer, giving him the upper hand in reach. As Y struggles to dodge Mugen's attacks, he remembers sparring with his dad, who used to smack him on the head with a staff. Yun called him a cheater because of the weapon's length and started running away while Gong chased after him. Yun throws his weapon, but Gong blocks it and knocks him down, making him give up. Gong tells Yun his tricks won't cut it and that he needs more training. Later that night, Yun is practicing when a swarm of bats attacks him. He swings his sword like crazy, but he can't hit them, and they surround him. He notices the bats aren't scared of him, even though his weapon has a longer reach. When one of the bats bites him, he realizes that good technique can beat reach. The next day, we hear the bats are taken care of. Yun squares off with his dad for a rematch. This time, Yun's moves put the heat on Gong. Gong swings his staff, but Yun ducks and weaves, managing to grab hold of Gong and take the win. Then Yun's showdown with Mugan gets intense. Yun throws sand to close the distance, and they're going at it hard, trading punches. Yun blocks Mugan's strike and counters with his own. Everyone thinks Mugan's down for the count, but he gets back up, saying he's ready to get serious now. Dark energy starts swirling around Mugen's blade as he unleashes a big move that cracks Yun's armor. Ying explains that if the same spot on the armor gets hit again and again, it'll break. Mugan keeps hammering away with the same attack, and Yun's struggling to dodge. Eventually, Mugan lands a hit, and Yun's armor shatters. Yun admits Mugan's way too strong and says he doesn't stand a chance. In a flashback, a guy tells Yun there's a monster in the village. Yun looks for his dad, but Gong's nowhere to be found. Yun grabs the twin swords from his house and rushes to the village. On the way, he spots a bear attacking Shen. Yun starts chucking snowballs at the bear to get its attention, gearing up to take it on. Back in the present, Yun keeps fighting, realizing Mugan's way out of his league, but he knows he can't back down. It's his job to protect Shen. Yun gets knocked to the ground and Mugan mocks him, saying he's wasting his life since he's too weak to protect anyone. But Yun thinks it's worth it, even if it costs him his life, to protect someone who matters. He remembers fighting the bear, how he got injured, and his blood spilled onto the swords, unlocking some kind of creepy dark power in them. Fueled by a need to kill, he charged the bear, but Gong showed up out of nowhere and knocked him down. Gong told the bear to go hibernate in the cave and warned it he'd kill it if it caused more trouble. The bear backed off, and they headed home. At home, Yun apologized for what he did and asked Gong why nobody's allowed to use the twin swords. Gong explained the swords need discipline because their power can backfire. He said the user can sacrifice their blood to awaken the demon in the swords and get stronger, but it's super risky since it could cost the user their life. Yun decided to go for it anyway. He cut his arms, letting his blood coat the swords, and a dark aura surrounded him as he let out a wild scream. Mugen recognized it as a blood sacrifice, and Yun charged at him with lightning speed, blasting Mugen back with his new power. Yun keeps the pressure on, and Sorrow points out that Yun's strength doesn't even seem human. Yun traps Mugan in a corner, but Mugan shrugs it off, saying Yun's still not strong enough, and pushes him back. Mugan taunts Yun, saying he's nowhere near Chan's level and doesn't have the killer instinct. Meanwhile, back in the fight between Mugan and Chen, Mugan's trying to figure out what's going on in Chen's head since he doesn't seem to care about winning. Chen says all he wants is to end everything, but Mugan thinks he's talking nonsense. To Mugan, fighting's all about survival of the fittest, but Chen disagrees, saying that path never ends. Mugan charges at him, and as they clash, Chen tells Mugan there are beings way stronger than them, so trying to be the strongest is a never-ending game. Chen busts out his ultimate move to take Mugan down, and even now, Mugan remembers that attack, knowing Chen could have killed him that day. Mugen throws Yun into the river, but Yun jumps right back up like it's nothing. Mugen's wondering if Yun will ever make his dream happen. Yun's still swinging, totally fired up now that Hyen's finally giving him a real fight. Shu's thinking Hyen's about to flip the script, but then Hyen charges at them out of nowhere, leaving everyone scratching their heads. Turns out, Hyen's lost it and sees everyone as an enemy. He goes after Ying, but she dodges his attacks like a pro. Sorrow hits him with some magic, knocks him down, and freezes him in place. Shin tries to check on him, but Yin shoves Shin away. Yun, fired up and full of rage, swears to wipe out all demons, busts out of the ice, and charges at Ying again. Before he can do anything though, Mugan stabs him, and Yun drops like a sack of bricks, passing out cold. While he's out, Yun has this vision of the twin swords telling him he's still got a shot, so he asks for their power. When he grabs them, he gets hit with a memory of Chen. In the memory, Chen's on a mission with Gong in some village. As they're walking around, they see the whole place struggling because of a famine. Gong gives some food to the kids, and this old guy begs Chen to save everyone. Suddenly, a kid runs in screaming that demons are coming to eat them. The demons show up, and one of them goes for Chen, but he takes it out in a flash. The rest of the demons gang up on him, but Chen wipes them all out like it's no big deal. He heads to a cave nearby and finds some demon kids crying. An old demon bows to him, begging him to spare the kids, saying they're innocent. Gong catches up and reminds Chen of their mission to kill all the demons, but Chen's not having it. He says he can't just massacre other races so humans can survive. Gong argues that killing demons is the only way to fix things, but Chen's like, nah, endless killing won't solve anything. He tells Gong he's heading west to find another way to end all this and promises to come back someday. Later, Chen rolls into a city full of demon corpses. He checks one of the bodies and realizes whoever did this used some deadly sword technique. He starts investigating a building and runs into Mugan, who's just finished taking out the demons. Mugan can feel the energy of all the demons Chen's taken down, and figures Chen must be the strongest dude around, so he steps up to challenge him. Fast forward, and we see Gong leading a group of people through a brutal winter. They find a cave to crash in, and as Gong's looking out at the horizon, he spots a dude walking toward them. It's Chen, and he's carrying a baby. They head back to Gong's place, and Gong offers to take care of the kid. Chen looks like he's learned something on his journey and says, things are about to get crazy. He hands Gong his swords, saying he's running out of time, and it's up to the next generation to handle what's coming. Yun wakes up by the healing river, just as Mugan pulls out his sword and starts walking away. Mugan says Chen spared his life in the past, so now he's just returning the favor. But he warns Yun that next time, he won't hold back. They're due for a real fight. Mugan takes off, and Yun's injuries start healing. Shen's super relieved Yun's okay. Yun then tells Shen about a dream he had, thinking it might actually be a memory left behind in the twin swords. Shen wonders if his staff might have some kind of connection to Chen too, but Yun says they'll need to track down the soul fragments to figure it all out. They head back to their ship, but feel stuck since they need to gather the soul fragments and uncover the secrets of the twin swords at the same time. Saro tells them about Xion, the smartest, most advanced city in the world, and the only place where regular humans live in this realm. The brothers get all hyped to check it out. They head to Xion City, where they meet the young master Chenu. A Persian princess is introduced to Chenu as a potential bride. His butler Fu hypes her up, saying she's an amazing dancer. She busts out some moves right there, but Chenu doesn't seem impressed. Fu tells her to take a hike and starts wondering why Chenu isn't into any of the princesses he's been shown. He's already rejected 999 of them, but Fu's sure the next one will be the one. He calls in this evil enchantress, and this super charming woman shows up. She immediately catches Chenu's attention, but then she pulls off her mask, and bam! Her face is absolutely terrifying. Chenu freaks out and bolts. Outside, he's trying to shake off the horror, thinking Fu has the worst taste ever. Then he spills the truth. He's already in love. Turns out, he's into Shu. We find out Shu promised to marry him once she gets back. Fu's like, alright, cool, I'll get the wedding ready as soon as she shows up. Meanwhile, Shu's acting all weird, and Saro's wondering if it's because she doesn't want to go to Xion City. Shu says the city's governor might not have the answers they're looking for, but Saro thinks the emperor could help. Right then, Shen jumps in, saying the staff is reacting to a soul fragment, and it's pointing them straight to the city. When they roll up to the city gates, they're blown away by how stunning the place is. A guard stops them, and a drone scans them one by one. The drone gives them the green light, and they're allowed in. Suddenly, there's this big announcement. Young Master Chenu is throwing a massive wedding in 3 days, and everyone's invited. Shu's shocked to hear Chenu's getting married, and seems kinda upset about it. As they wander around the city, a fruit vendor tells them her stuff is free in celebration of the wedding. Shu starts grilling her for all the juicy wedding details, wanting to know everything, while Yin's like, why do you even care so much? Right then, a group of soldiers shows up, welcoming them as VIPs and saying the young master is waiting for them at the palace. They're all surprised by the royal treatment. When they get to the palace, they're treated to an incredible feast. As Chenu welcomes them to the city, Yin gives him a shout out for getting engaged, saying it was such a shocker they didn't even have time to snag him a gift. But Chenu's like, nah, you guys already gave me the best gift ever. And that's when they realize Shu's actually the bride. Turns out, Fu already set up everything for the wedding. When they confirm Shu's back in town, Chenu explains he added her info to the security system, which automatically kicked off the wedding festivities as soon as she showed up. He reminds her of the promise she made to him. Flashback time, young Shu steps in to save Chenu from some bullies. They were messing with him because he's from the lower realm, and even threatened to beat him up, but Shu straight up takes them all down. Chenu thanks her, says she's amazing, and tells her he wants her to come to Xion City when she's older, so she can be his bride. Shu's like, what's a bride? And Chenu explains, the bride gets to spend all my pocket money, so Shu promises to be his bride. Fast forward to now, Chenu says he's been waiting for her to come back and is stoked they can finally tie the knot. But Shu's like, hold up, I didn't even know what a bride was back then. "I was just a kid." Then she spills the tea. She actually told the bullies to mess with him, threatening to beat them up if they didn't, just so he'd owe her and buy her food. Chenu just laughs it off and says none of that matters because she made a promise, and now she's here. Yoon jumps in and tells Chenu that Shu only came back because of the wedding, which totally ticks Shu off. Chenu catches on that she's not really feeling the whole marriage thing, but Yoon thinks they can use the wedding as an excuse to meet the emperor. Everyone agrees to roll with it. Saro gives Shu a little signal, reminding her they're on a mission to find the soul fragments. Shu knows she's got to deal with Chenu to complete the mission, so she decides to play along until the big day. She heads to her room while everyone else is outside trying to figure out their next move. They're all stressing about Shu. Ying wonders if she's actually gonna stick around and go through with the wedding, but everyone's like, no way that's happening. Meanwhile, the crew gets a hit on a soul fragment, and Saro tracks down its location, giving them a lead to follow. Later that night, Shu's in her room, thinking about that promise. She's not about to go through with the wedding and plans to dip as soon as the mission's done. But here's the twist. Chenu's actually the one holding the soul fragment, and he's dead set on making sure Shu never leaves again. Meanwhile, Yoon and Ying are out grabbing drinks when this woman catches their eye. She bumps into some dude and realizes her necklace is gone, so she starts asking for help. Yoon tries to play it cool and catch the thief, but the guy manages to slip away. The woman shows up with the guards and accuses Yoon of being the thief because he's wearing her necklace. The guards arrest him, and Ying tries to explain it's all a setup, but they're not buying it. Ying tells them they're guests of Chenu, so the guards check the records, but it turns out Yoon and Ying are listed as illegal immigrants. They make a run for it. Shen and Saro are still on the hunt for the soul fragment, but they're coming up empty. The staff keeps pointing toward the city gate, so Shen figures the fragment must have left the city. They head out, but as soon as they hit the forest, their gear stops working. They decide to turn back, but when they get to the gate, they hear an announcement saying the city's locked down until the wedding ceremony, and no one's allowed back in. Shen rushes to the gate, but a barrier throws him back. While Saro's trying to figure out what's going on, they bump into this old guy who says he was out gathering herbs for his sick daughter. Shen asks the guards to let the old man in, but they just shrug and say they're following orders from Chenu, no exceptions. Saro wonders if this has happened before, but the old man says it's a first. Shen tries using a grappling hook to get over the wall, but the barrier blocks it. Saro uses his magic to boost Shen up, but the magic gets cancelled out. Saro realizes the barrier's way too strong, and Shen's left scratching his head about how they're gonna get in. Then the old man mentions a secret tunnel into the city and takes them to the entrance. They head into the tunnel, but Shen runs smack into another barrier that knocks him back. Saro recognizes it as something made by immortals. He figures out he can pass through it, guessing the tunnel was built for immortals. While trying to disable the barrier, he accidentally cuts his hand, and his blood activates some kind of mechanism that removes the barrier, letting everyone through. They make it to the end of the tunnel and climb out, only to realize they've popped up right in the middle of a performance. Saro uses his magic to help Shen pull off some wild acrobatics, and the crowd totally buys it as part of the show. But then some lady rats them out to a guard, so they take off running. The guard's right on their heels, but they duck into a crowd and manage to lose him. Just when they think they're safe, they realize they've made the news, and now everyone's staring at them. They bolt again. Shen's confused about why the old man vanished, but Saro figures it was all part of his plan, saying the whole thing feels like a setup. Meanwhile, the servants are getting Shu ready for her wedding. Fu tells her that Chenu is waiting for her, so she heads to a studio where they take some pictures together. Chenu leans in to kiss her, but she stops him and asks why he even wants to marry her since he knows she tricked the bullies. That's when he spills the truth. In a flashback, we see Shu was super popular at the academy and Chenu wanted her attention. So, he made a deal with the bullies, offering them food if they'd pick on him. They agreed, and when Shu stepped in and beat them up, he thanked her for saving him and promised to buy her food. Back in the present, Chenu admits he did all that just to impress her and ask her to marry him. He says he can't leave the city because of his responsibilities, but he's glad she's there and wants her to rule the city with him. Shu shuts him down, saying she didn't come to the city to marry him. She's only here to find the soul fragment. Chenu's crushed, thinking he deserves the rejection, but then he suddenly hugs her. The photographer snaps a picture of the moment, saying it turned out great. The photo gets displayed publicly, and Shen sees it, wondering what's going on. Saro pieces it all together and realizes Shu might be in trouble. Shu's all worked up because Chenu keeps pushing her to marry him, but out of nowhere, she caves when he whips out the soul fragment. He tells her to quit taking crazy risks. Word gets out about a wedding, and apparently, invites were sent to sect reps. Yin's like, how the heck are we gonna crash the palace? He thinks about just busting in, but she's got a different idea. Then we see two dudes with wedding invites, and Ying strolls up, asking if she can chill with them. They're totally floored by how stunning she is and let her tag along. She says she was just passing through the city but got stuck because of the lockdown. They offer her a place to crash, but then they start bickering over her. While they're busy arguing, Yin uses her web to snag the invites and sends them to Ellen. She keeps the guys distracted, but eventually, they realize their invites, and she are gone. Yin and Ying brainstorm how to sneak into the palace. They figure Yin's swords might be a problem, so he decides to act like a weapons dealer, offering the twin swords as a gift for Qin Yu. Ying's gonna play the role of his wife. Meanwhile, Shin and Saro get caught. Saro claims he's Shu's personal nurse and says she's sick and needs some magical treatment. He warns them the wedding's gonna be a disaster if she gets worse. The guards check the security footage and see Saro was with Shu when she came into the city, so they decide to report it to Shen Yu. Everyone's getting hyped for the wedding, and Shen Yu's pumped for his big day. But then a guard shows up and spills the tea about Saro. Back in the cell, Saro admits he totally made up the story about Shu being sick. Shen's still holding onto the staff, and Saro's thinking they're close to finding the soul fragment. Then Shenu rolls into the cell, asking why they came back to the city. He's all smug, saying they'll never see Shu again, because she's about to be his wife. Shen and Saro aren't buying it since they know Shu wouldn't bail on the mission. But then Shenu flashes the soul fragment. Shen grabs the staff and goes after him, but Shenu fights back and knocks him down. He uses the fragment on Saro, putting him under his control, and then messes with Shen's head, restraining him. Shenu tries to snatch Shen's soul, but then the Guardian's voice cuts in. Shen grabs onto Shenu, realizing his powers are draining. The Guardian steps in, saying Shen's body is his, and he's not letting Shenu take it. Shenu, all confused and realizing he almost lost his powers, bails and leaves Saro to deal with Shen. As he's leaving the cell, he tells the guards to stay out of it. Saro goes after Shen, busting him out of his restraints and hurling fireballs. But Shen dodges like a pro and charges straight at Saro, knocking him down. Shen starts second-guessing himself, thinking he's not strong enough to take on Shenu solo. But then the Guardian shows up and takes him to this spot that turns out to be where his powers are locked up. The Guardian explains that the staff is just a key, and that Shen has to unlock his powers by remembering who he really is. Shen suddenly remembers he's a demon hunter. Just as he's falling, he grabs the staff, which starts glowing like crazy. Next thing he knows, he's back in the cell, still holding the staff. So now Shen's sitting there, wondering if everything he's been through is just some big trick. He starts yelling for help, saying Saro's been cursed or something, and a guard hears him. The guard opens the cell to check it out, but Shen knocks him out cold. Shen tries to escape the dungeon but gets totally lost. Then this random guy shows up and says Shen needs a guide. The guy offers to help him find the way out if Shen unlocks his cell. Turns out, the guy's the Emperor. He explains that his son, Shenu, locked him up and told everyone the Emperor was off meditating or something, so Shenu could take over the city. The Emperor recognizes Shen's staff and uses it to prove he's legit since the Emperor's known for being super sharp. Shen unlocks the door, and while he's freeing the Emperor says he's been wanting to meet him. Shen fills him in on what's going down, saying his crew is hunting for these soul fragments, but Shenu's trying to destroy them. The Emperor's like, got it, I'll help you out, and promises to bring Shenu to justice. They try sneaking into the palace, but the guards catch them, and it's looking bad. They're about to get busted. Then, out of nowhere, smoke fills the place, and Yin and Ying show up, taking out the guards. Shen introduces them to the Emperor, and explains that the Emperor was locked up in the dungeon. He also says Saro's still stuck in his cell, because Shenu brainwashed him. Yin figures Shu might have been brainwashed too, and the Emperor explains that the soul fragment has the power to mess with people's minds. Yun decides to test the Emperor, asking if he knows about the twin swords. The Emperor says Shenu used them, but they look different now compared to the originals. Yun's convinced the guy's really the Emperor, and says they need disguises for their mission. Yun sneaks off and grabs some clothes from the guests, handing them over to Shen and the Emperor. Now everyone's ready to roll. The guests are all gathered for this wedding, and while someone's giving a speech, they spot Saro at the event. The Emperor says Shenu used magic to control the army, so they gotta play it smart. The Emperor tells Yin to call Chinu out for a duel since the city's rules mean Chinu can't back down. The Emperor promises he'll reveal his true identity when the time's right. Chinu and Shu show up in front of the guests, and the wedding's about to kick off. But Yin steps in and challenges Chinu to a fight. The crowd's totally pumped. Fu explains that there's an objection to the wedding, so by tradition, Chinu has to take on Yin. They head to the arena, and Fu hypes Yin up to the crowd, saying he's been traveling with Shu, so he probably has feelings for her. But Fu's betting on Chinu's love to win the day. The two get ready to throw down, and everyone's wondering how Yin, just a regular dude, is gonna handle an immortal. Yin charges in, and the fight's on. Meanwhile, Ying sneaks over to Sar, trying to get his attention, but he's still under the spell of the soul fragment and doesn't react. She tries to snap him out of it, but Chinu catches on and uses his powers to make Sar attack her. She fights back with a kick. Yin and Chinu keep going at it, and Chinu's stunned that Immortal is holding his own. He powers up his spear with icy magic and lands a hit on Yin. At the same time, Shen rushes to Shu, trying to wake her up, but the Emperor says it's no use. She's still under Chinu's spell. Yin's wound starts freezing up, and the Emperor explains that immortal weapons are enchanted, and Chinu's spear can freeze someone's blood. Shen thinks it's time for the Emperor to come clean about who he is, but the Emperor says it's not the moment yet and tells Shen to trust his brother. Chinu mocks Yin's twin swords, saying they're no match for his spear, but Yin claps back, saying he's fought tougher enemies before. The fight heats up as Chinu argues that Shu should stay in the city because their mission to collect the soul fragments is doomed anyway. Yin gets knocked back, and Chinu tells him there's no way a human can beat an immortal. But Yin fires back, saying humans can push past their limits. Then he goes all in, unleashing his true strength. He charges at Chinu, and they start trading punches like crazy. Yin lands a solid hit, and Chinu stops holding back, warning Yin he's gonna die if he can't keep up. They go all out, wrecking the whole place as they fight. At one point, they clash mid-air, causing a massive shockwave that shakes everything around them. The Emperor decides it's time to spill the beans about who he really is. Shen steps up, telling everyone not to trust Chinu because he locked the Emperor in a dungeon to take over the city. The Emperor reveals himself, and Chinu's totally blindsided. The Emperor calls Chinu out, accusing him of brainwashing Shu and Sar. Then he orders the guards to arrest Chinu, calling him a traitor. The guards move in, but Chinu claims the Emperor is possessed by a demon. Fu tries to back him up, but the Emperor tells the soldiers not to buy it, saying Fu and Chinu are in on it together. Realizing he's got no other choice, Chinu pulls a bold move. He blasts the guards away and freezes the whole area with ice, but Yin just powers through like it's nothing, leaving Shen Yu totally floored, wondering how Yin's even still standing. Yin comes at him again, but Chenu's like, yo, we're not fighting for Shu anymore. This is about saving the city. Yin's not buying it until they both see some creepy dark energy leaving the Emperor's body. Then, out of nowhere, this mysterious woman named Suzu shows up, dropping the bomb that she'd been hiding inside the Emperor the whole time. Turns out, the guy had been struggling to keep her under control. The Emperor told his son to lock him up in the dungeon and handed the city over to Chenu, who sealed him in there and told the servants to use magic to keep it locked tight. Chenu's all in to stop Suzu, but Yin's pissed because she's the one who killed his dad. She throws shade, reminding him he said he'd grown up, and then mocks him, saying Gong was easy to take out. That sets Yin off, and he charges at her, ready to end it. But Suzu uses her strings to take control of Shen's body and makes him attack Yin. Yin's yelling at her to let Shen go, and Chenu jumps in to help, but Suzu's like, hold up, you've got another fight coming. An old dude shows up and transforms into a demon, the same one Gong had beaten before. This thing smacks Yin and Chinu like ragdolls, sending them flying. They realize they've got a bigger problem and decide to team up. The fight's brutal, and Chenu notices his weapon's not doing much damage. So, he attaches a soul fragment to his spear, slams it into the ground, and summons ice to trap the demon. He manages to hurt it, but the demon breaks free and goes after Shu. Chenu steps in, takes the hit, and stabs the demon with his spear, but he's seriously injured in the process. Yun shows up just in time and hits the demon with a combo attack, finally taking it down. Chenu, barely hanging on, tells Shu he feels guilty for making her stay and thinks he deserves to die. She tells him she's always valued the promise she made to him, but didn't want to marry him right away since they'd been apart for so long. Knowing he's running out of time, Chenu shows her the soul fragment and tells her to use it to protect herself. Then he takes his last breath. Suzu doesn't even bother with her weapon, and when she tries to pull it in, the other girl loses it and fires her cannon at Suzu, but Shen's barrier blocks it. Shu's fired up, ready to avenge Shinyu, but out of nowhere, she collapses. Suzu tells Yun that his team's out of commission, and he's got no chance going solo. But Yin's like, actually, this is perfect. I don't have to worry about holding back for my friends. He pulls off this crazy blood sacrifice move, goes full berserk mode, and starts throwing down with the demon. He's holding his own, but you can tell he's on the edge of losing it. He's fighting like hell to stay in control, but Suzu can see him slipping, so she starts messing with his head. Yin starts tripping out, flashing back to when his dad got taken out. He sees Suzu taking down Ji, and it messes him up big time. But then, he remembers his dad talking about unlocking the twin sword's power and becoming the ultimate demon hunter. Suddenly, his body starts glowing, and he sees Chen in his mind. Turns out, he's unlocked the twin sword powers. Chen tells him that real strength doesn't come from the weapon, but from the person using it, especially when they're fighting to protect others. Yin pulls off Chen's ultimate move, and Suzu's like, oh no, I know how strong that is. She orders the demon to attack, but Yin speeds in and takes the demon out in one hit. He shows up behind Suzu and says, it's over, but then Shen comes out of nowhere and blasts him away. Shen goes after Yin, totally losing it, and lands a huge hit that knocks Yin down. He's about to finish him off, but Yin holds him back and begs Yun to kill him, thinking it's the only way to stop Suzu. Suzu tries to crush both brothers with some wild move, but Yun tells Shen to hang on and throws him out of danger. Suzu thinks Yin's dead, and Shen just breaks down, completely falling apart. Now Shen's thinking about making a deal with the Guardian, asking to borrow his powers. The Guardian's like, alright, but it's gonna cost you, your soul. Out of nowhere, Suzu's strings snap, and Shen taps into the Guardian's power. The Guardian tells her that even immortals fear him, and gets mad because she tried to mess with his soul. She realizes who he is, and calls him Fushi, but he straight up stabs her, saying she doesn't deserve to say his name. Then he burns her to ashes. Later, it cuts to Chin's funeral, and everyone's mourning his death. Yin's frustrated because he couldn't save Chenu. The crew's still trying to figure out where the soul fragments are, but they've got no clue where to start. The Emperor shows up and suggests they head to Shumi Mountain, where the gods live, saying they'll find what they need there. Sorrow's like, we can't even get to the mountain, but the Emperor's got it handled. He uses his magic to open a portal to the place. He warns them the trip's gonna be dangerous and says his goodbyes as they hop on the ship, ready to keep going with their mission.